Hello and welcome to this Saturday's Travelin Young. We're kind of doing these on Saturdays occasionally now. And Brisket just recently, he just got himself a summer cut. So he wanted to make sure to show off his, hey buddy.
His new looks. Oh, don't do that. No.
That didn't happen. Don't show anybody. That didn't happen. My buddy Brisket. Yes, Brisket and his new summer cut is very excited. Yes. He looks so much smaller when he gets a haircut. So he's like half the size when he's not super hairy. But anyway, Brisket and the summer cut. And so what we wanted to talk about today was friendships. And I don't know, we've had comments from people and just we've thought about how friendships are treated a little differently.
Yeah, it is a bit different here.
In Denmark versus the US. And I mean, I'll say before we start, this is just our own observations. Yeah. We didn't do any scientific research on this. There's no,
and this is probably going to be a hot topic in the comments, maybe.
Possibly. Yeah.
So please take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, this is not. This is not going to be written in medical journals. So this is just our own observations on friendships, and there are definitely some differences, but our observation on how they're different is what we're going to talk about. And one of the big things is, I think there's 3 classifications of friendships. Yes. There's and this actually kind of applies to family. I'm going to throw family and friends all into this.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They're the friends that you are given and the friends that you choose.
Yeah.
Family and friends, right? So, so the first classification is a very narrow band, and that's people that you can trust with everything. Yeah. You can come to them in your worst moment. Yeah. And your best moment.
Your confidants and your,
There's no judging.
You take a bullet for them.
Yeah, and they the same as you. Yeah. For you. You don't judge each other.
No.
They'll help you. They'll be excited for you.
Sometimes they'll call you out when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. And you trust their opinion.
And you trust their opinion.
Then there's the middle band. And that's people that you hang out with.
Yeah.
That you call a friend. But
you have a good time.
You have a good time. You'd let them come to your house.
Yeah.
You'd go to their house. And then there's another group of people that are just humans. That
wandering through your life.
That wander through your life, yeah. And we're going to talk about how these 3 different bands of people are different sizes.
Yeah.
I have a very sophisticated graph that I drew that you're going to see in a second. And that's what we're going to talk about on this week's Travelin Young. What's up, buddy?
Can't do anything with him.
All right, so I'm going to show you this.
I do not claim the energy of how messy this is.
So this is, normally this is under the camera.
We don't care how it looks.
With our notes as we go through a video. So this video we have 0 notes. And I typically clean it off right before I use it rather than right after I use it. And I think that the dry erase stuff comes off better if you clean it off immediately after writing on it versus like a week later. Yeah. And so it's a bit messy, and I think that gives it charm.
It's got a lived-in look.
It's got this lived-in look. Hopefully it's in focus. You're the focus person over here, so let's see. All right, so the idea is these are not drawings of cigarettes.
That was my thought when you were drawing them. But
top band in all these cases, Denmark, US, and this is a special one, so stay tuned at the end to see what this is about.
What's that?
Top one is that intimate group of people. The dots, which would be, I guess, the filtered part of the cigarette.
Friends.
Those are friends.
You filtered out the people.
Yeah, that's the filtered. Yeah, see, there's some symbolism there that makes total sense. And then this, whatever, is that's just people. And you can see in our belief. Hopefully you can see. I'll also take a picture and put it on the screen just in case it doesn't come through on the camera very well.
Fine.
The people part in Denmark is actually larger.
Yes.
I think we agree that the intimate, like as a human, you only have so much bandwidth for
really close friends.
And I don't think
there's only so many people that I want to tell my skeletons in my closet too. So
yeah, and also by the way, I'll say that you know, it's super important to have these people, even when you're married, because there's sometimes, you know, you want to talk to somebody other than your spouse, because it's like, you know, there could be consequence, you know, I mean, you want to bounce ideas off other folks first, right? And so that's part of our marriage philosophy. If you haven't seen our marriage
always
thought video.
Always have somebody you can talk to.
Yeah. And I think that, you just only have so many people that you can invest that amount of time in, and that can invest that amount of time in you. So consistently, in my experience, that group of people is narrow regardless of where you live. It doesn't matter if you're in the Denmark, US, or wherever. Yeah. That seems to be consistent.
That's always going to be a small group.
Yeah. But then the dotted portion of the graph, I believe, is much larger in the US versus Denmark. And I think the reason why is we call what really are truly acquaintances friends. Yeah. We use the name friend a bit lightly. Looser. But we also, because of that, I think, accept more people into our home, like for parties and stuff, for example. I mean, when we lived in DC, we used to host a Christmas party. We'd invite everybody from work to our house. Yeah. And actually here, at my last job, rather than, we had some people in town from other countries, and rather than all going to a restaurant, we made some food. Actually, we bought food and ordered it and came here.
We had it here.
And I don't think that's something that a Dane would typically do, have a bunch of people over that they aren't super close to. I mean, I would say as Americans, I've used this term before, that we're friend collectors. Yeah. Where, you know, like, we can make a friend, Americans especially, I think, can make friends literally anywhere. Now, actually, we've made close friends, Ollie and Lynn, who live in England. That's how we met them. We kind of just randomly met them and started talking to them, and then we were friends, but then we've stayed in contact, and they've leveled up. Yeah. But there's other folks that we are, you know, like there's somebody that was a coworker that I became friends with in Germany that I stayed with once. Yeah. So there's a couple couch surfing spots we have around the globe, actually, from people that, and I don't know if I think that might be nature of just the American culture to feel connected to people a little faster, maybe. Yeah. And to be a bit more kind of... I mean, we have people that we probably haven't seen in 2 years. And if they called me up and said, hey, do you want to hang out? I'd be like, absolutely. Come stay at my house. Spend the night. Don't stay in a hotel. Like, come stay with us. Yeah. I don't think too many people would do that. Yeah. I think that's an American thing, and probably us even more, because we travel so much, and I like having connections in different places that I go. I love it when, you know, like when I go to Paris for work, I have good friends I can go see and have dinner with and have drinks with one night. Or Spain, I'm going to Barcelona in a couple weeks for work, and we have friends there that I'm going to have dinner with when I'm there. And that just comes from staying and maintaining contact, you know, and just being, and I think that's something that doesn't happen as much maybe in the Danish culture from my experience. But tell me you will probably just tell me in the comments if I'm wrong anyway. But feel free to tell me in the comments if you think different. But that's just my experience, is that band of people that we refer to friends is a bit greater. Yeah. And it's a bit larger in terms of who we'd have over in our house. I think it's just the threshold of what it takes to hit that level maybe is a little lower for Americans, at least for us. And you say friend collector. My mom used to say that I'd always be collecting friends. That's where I got it from. Your mom. His mom's always said that. And you do. You make friends everywhere. I'm friendly. I think I try to be friendly. I think I am. And I'm happy to have friends in different places and hang out and it's always share. Because that's, to me, where you learn a lot about yourself, is being able to, especially in other countries, and talk to different people and learn from them. And that only happens if you kind of open up a little bit and become at least some kind of friend. Now, the last bar is you probably can't read that it says moved. This is what happened to us after we moved. A consequence of moving to a new country that we didn't anticipate is our big group actually got a little bit wider, because it turns out some people in this dotted filtered area were better friends than we realized. Yeah. And when we moved, we stopped taking them for granted, and maybe they didn't, it's probably too strong to say we took them for granted, but it just kind of painted a new light onto friendships that people that have visited us here, that turns out we were closer friends with than we realized. Not that we sit and like write down friend It makes
we
it sound
don't
like we have a
lists
list
of,
somewhere.
like, who's
but,
in what group.
But still, I feel like some of our friendships grew stronger when we left. But then this shrunk because some of those friends actually
just kind of fell off. And
it's maybe a consequence of it's harder to stay in contact with people. But
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to stay in contact. The time difference makes it really difficult, I think.
Yeah, but I also think there's a select group of people, and this is the thing that you don't realize before you move, that there's some people that are in this kind of superficial, we're kind of friend zone that are jealous of the opportunity that you have. And
you run into that.
It's really tough to communicate. You know, you want to talk when people are like, hey, what's going on in your life? And like, the only thing in your life is I'm moving to another country. It's not that you're bragging. You just you say, well, we're moving to Denmark and I wanted you to know, I wanted to see you one last time before we left. And it turns out that can create fissures in friendships that aren't as deep as you thought.
Because sometimes you kind of get the must be nice.
Yeah, like maybe they wish they could be doing that. And it's like I wish they could be too. I mean, I wish all my friends that, are here with us. But that was a consequence of moving that I didn't really anticipate. I guess I thought that like everybody would be as excited for us as we were for ourselves. And that's not reality. Because some people, especially in America in 2018 when we left, regardless of what you feel politically, it's so polarized that a lot of people wanted to just be able to get away from it for a bit. That's not why we moved, but that was a benefit of moving. And so a bunch of people were just like, man, I wish I could go away for a while.
Yeah.
and some of those folks just didn't stay in contact. They didn't.
Yeah, I think it's surprising, and maybe this happens anytime you move, but I think especially when you move internationally, that it can be kind of surprising who falls off the radar. I think people that you thought you were super close to, that then they just kind of disappear out of your lives, and then you're just like, oh, I really miss that person.
And it's really hard when we go back because our friends are kind of scattered. We lived in different places in the U.S. And our friends are in multiple places, from Nashville to good friends in St. Louis and Chicago where we lived, and of course DC where I grew up, and then some that have just moved to other places over the years, California and stuff. And it's just really hard I can't visit all of those places every time I go home. Even when I go to DC, it's hard to see everybody because my parents live there, so I spend a bulk of our time with them. But then I have friends like my friend Kenny I've known since I was like 10 or 11, and I always try to see him when I'm there, but that's difficult to do. So it is weird, like being able to when you move away, it really changes the complexion of the makeup of your friend group, and it changed in ways I didn't expect, where some people became better friends, some people I thought would stay good friends ended up not staying good friends, and then just the group of people is just there that
although I will say for me, I've always had, you may not believe this, but I've always found it challenging to make friends. Like, I'm not as good as making friends as Josh is, and I'm somebody who just does not. I'm very introverted, believe it or not. And so I have found comfort in the fact that there's not that expectation that you're making friends all the time here, that you have a smaller group of friends, and that I feel like that's more acceptable, that you're a little more insular here with your friends than it is in the US. Because in the US, I felt like there was a lot of, not pressure, but there was like an expectation that you go out and you be with your friends and you go do things all the time. Whereas I just want to like sit at home.
I mean, I guess but I think with technology now, it's possible to maintain that dotted cigarette part of the friendship pretty easily without even physically seeing people because of text messages or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. There's all these different ways to communicate now that don't require in-person communication.
Yeah, that's true.
To kind of keep things going. And that would happen. But yeah. So anyway, the problem with me holding this sign right now is what's attached to this also is a clock usually. And that means we have no idea how long we've been talking, which means it's probably been a long time. And hopefully you can see this fantastic. I just thought it'd be fun and more real life to have
This is what it really looks like in our house, you guys.
Yeah. And I drew this moments ago.
Cigarettes on a dirty whiteboard.
And by the way, we don't smoke. Just to be clear. We may drink a beer every so often, but we don't smoke. All right. Anyway, that's it for this week's Travelin Young. We hope you enjoyed, and let us know your observations and thoughts. And I guess that's where we're gonna say goodbye.
Yeah.
Brisket already bailed on it, so
He left.
he's not a friend anymore.
He's in that group of people that just left us.
Yeah, whatever. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.